Ecclesiastes 1, 7-9. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Walang bago, paulit-ulit lang ang lahat. Ano ang relasyon ng tao sa creation, sa nature, sa planeta? Paano makikipamuhay sa sangnilikha? Paano makikipamuhay sa mga kaganapan sa balat ng lupa? Paano magre-react sa mga wari pagkakasakit, paghihingalo, pagkamatay ng creation, ng kalikasan, ng mundo? Ano ang aral mula sa kamatayan at pagkabuhay ng muli ni Jesus na pwedeng i-apply sa pagkakasakit, paghihingalo, pagkamatay ng creation, ng kalikasan, ng mundo? Ang pag-aaral natin ngayon, titingnan natin ang muling pagkabuhay ng Panginoong Jesus at ano ang kahulugan nito sa creation. Resurrecting Earth, ang pagbubuhay ng muli sa mundo, sa balat ng lupa. Dapat natin munang sariwain ang mga napakahalagang mga katotohanan tungkol sa creation, sa earth, o sa kalikasan. God created the universe and everything else. And when you go to science, according to the Big Bang Theory, all the fundamental forces of the universe, namely electromagnetic force, weak force, strong force, and gravity, emerged in less than a second. These four forces govern all the physical laws and interactions of the universe. And as God created the universe and everything else, then God rested after creating. Nilikha ng Diyos ang lahat, pagkatapos siya ay nagpahinga sa paglikha. Anong ibig sabihin ng pagpapahinga o pagtigil sa paglikha? Genesis 2, 2-3. By the seventh day, God had finished the work He had been doing. So on the seventh day, He rested from all His work. He rested from all the work of creating that He had done. Maraming mga pag-aaral tungkol sa literal ba o metaphorical ba ang 7 days at hindi yun ang point natin. Ang point, matapos lumikha ang Diyos, siya ay tumigil sa paglikha, siya ay nagpahinga. At sinasabi naman ng siyensya, all parts of the universe are subject to the same simple laws of nature that we find here on earth. So sa pagpapahinga ng Diyos, sa paglikha niya sa mundo, sa daigdig, ganun na rin ang naganap at ang kanyang pagpapahinga sa lahat ng buong creation hanggang doon sa kalawak-lawakan at kaduluduluhan ng kalawakan. So, tapos na rin ang work of creation. And since God is at rest, God set creation on automatic, in a manner of speaking, on autopilot. God's creation is self-administering, self-sustaining, self-correcting, self-balancing, self-healing, self-resurrecting. Kaya pagka ikaw ay may sugat, gagaling niya mag-isa. Huwag lang sobrang malala na kailangan ng intervention. Pero yung intervention pa rin ng medisina, ng surgery, yun ay may gagawin lang sila pero papabayaan pa rin nila na nature will do the rest of the healing. Hindi naman talaga yung mga manggagamot ang nagpapagaling. Tinatahi lang nila yung sugat, pinapatigil ang pagdugo, pinagkakabit-kabit ang dapat pagdugtong-dugtongin, pero ang kalikasan na naman na ginawa ng Diyos ang aandar para matapos ang process of recreation or resurrection, if you like to call it so. So, sinasabi nga nila, just don't interfere with nature. Kung pwede mong tulungan mo, magpahinga ka, matulog ka, kumain ka mabuti, huwag ka magalit dyan, para yung mga cells ay lumakas, ang iyong immune system ay lumakas, and then your body will heal itself according to creation, according to the laws of nature made by God. Hindi na kailangan bumaba ang Diyos mula sa langit para paampatin ang pagdaloy ng dugo sa iyong sugat. Yung mga thrombin, yung mga threads, ire-release yan ng yung mga blood cells at magiging parang mga net. Sila ay magpupunta doon sa bungangan ng sugat kung saan maraming oxygen. Magdidikit-dikit sila at magiging parang lambat. Haharangin na nila ngayon ang paglabas ng mga blood cells, ng mga iba pang components ng iyong dugo. Kaya, importante na tayo ay nakikinig sa laws of nature. Pagka meron kang sipon, ubo, yan ay talaga namang gumagaling after 7 days or 1 week. Basta tulungan mo. Matulog ka, magpahinga ka, uminom ka ng vitamina, o gumawa ka ng dapat para matulungan mo. Pero meron talaga siyang proseso na aandar mag-isa. Ecclesiastes 1:7-9. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Nature is built on the concept of reciprocation, sabi ng science. Give and take, like the carbon and oxygen cycle. Mag-i-inhale ang tao ng oxygen, mag-i-exhale ang carbon dioxide. I-inhale naman ang halaman yung carbon dioxide at i-exhale niya as oxygen. So pag may tao at may halaman, meron na agad na carbon dioxide and oxygen cycle. At ganyan lahat ang buhay. Sinasabi yan ng science na merong reciprocation. Pagka merong mainit na kaldero, ilagay mo lang sa labas, ilagay mo sa malayo sa apoy, lalamig na yon. Kasi yung init nun, sisipsipin ng lamig sa labas, yung lamig sa labas, sisipsipin ng init, magkakaroon ng pagpapalit-palit ng energy at magkakaroon ng balance. In spirituality, 1 Corinthians 10:24 says, no one should seek their own good, but the good of others. So reciprocity yan na equivalent ng science. Matthew 7:12, so in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. For this sums up the law and the prophets. And if we're going to extend it, this sums up the law of creation and recreation. Kung anong gusto mong gawin sa'yo ng nasa labas, yun ang gawin mo sa kanya, at yun din ang gagawin niya sa'yo, ipapabalik-balik, magkakaroon ng reciprocation. Another law of science is dualism, which agrees very much with spiritual laws. One cannot exist without the other. All action has equal and opposite reaction. Kaya nagkakaroon ng equilibrium, ng balance, cause and effect. Science calls it. 2 Corinthians 8:14. At the present time, your plenty will supply what they need, so that in turn, their plenty will supply what you need. The goal is equality. The goal is balance, equilibrium. Sinasabi ng spirituality, sinasabi din ng science. 2 Corinthians 8:13, our desire is not that others might be relieved while you are hard-pressed, but that there might be equality. So pagka mayroong tension dito, may relaxation doon, may nangangailangan dito, bibigyan ng merong plenty, nagkakaroon ng balance. And another law of science is repetition. One is born from the other. Birth and rebirth is natural law. At sa Genesis 1:4, God saw that the light was good, and He separated the light from the darkness. Isaiah 45:7, I form the light and create darkness. I bring prosperity and create disaster, or what you might call cycles. I, the Lord, do all these things. So this is repetition. This is birth and rebirth. Sinasabi ng Biblia, sinasabi ng science. And then another law of science, law of nature, is transformation. This is changing from one form to the next. May one form will change to the next, will change to the next, and will revert to the same form where it came from, paulit-ulit, tulad ng water cycle. Yung liquid, mag-evaporate, aakyat sa himpapawid, at pagka mabigat na doon, ay biglang babagsak as rain. Isaiah 55:10, as the rain and the snow come down from heaven, and do not return to it without watering the earth, and making it bud and flourish, so that it yields seed for the sower and bread for the eater. Pabalik-balik lang daw ang tubig. Nagiging ulan para diligan ang mga halaman at ang mga halaman ay mamunga, at pagkatapos ang tubig na ito ay bababa sa bundok, pupunta sa dagat, sa ilog, mag-evaporate, magiging ulap na naman, magiging ulan na naman, pabalik-balik, to the point that scientists tell us that since the beginning, not one drop of water has been formed or destroyed, released, or received from creation. Paikot-ikot-ikot lang. Kaya maaring yung ininom nating tubig kanina ay pinaghugasan ang paa ni Cleopatra. Na yung pinampaligo mong tubig kanina ay maaaring dugo dati yun ng mga butike at nagkaipon-ipon, nag-evaporate. Paulit-ulit lang, pabalik-balik lang ang lahat. And of course, another law of nature is self-regulation. Like balancing each other. Tulad ng ecological balance ng prey and predators. Pagka naubos ang mga ahas, dumadami ang mga palaka. Pag dumami yung mga palaka, mauubos ang mga lamok. Pagka naubos yung mga lamok, may mga repercussions. Merong mga nangyayari sa ecological imbalances na mula nung nawala yung mga predators na kumakain ng mga usa, nagdamihan sobrang usa. At dahil nagdamihan sobrang usa, nakalbo ang gubat dahil ang daming kumakain ng dahon at sila ay walang kumakain sa kanila. At dahil nakalbo ang mga gubat, nawala ng bahay ang mga ibon, nasira ang balance dahil lang nawala yung mga predators na kumakain sa usa. Merong sariling checks and balance ang nature. Nasisira lang pag nakikialam sobra ang tao. Proverbs 21:13, whoever shuts their ears to the cry of the poor will also cry out and not be answered. So may self-regulation, may balancing. Yung hindi nagbibigay, hindi bibigyan. Yung hindi tumutulong sa system, hindi tutulungan. They will be weeded out. Sila ay mawawala sa system, may eliminate. Luke 17:33, at the expense of life, whoever tries to keep their life will lose it, and whoever loses their life for general universal life will preserve it. It could be a metaphor. Pagka sobrang pinahalagahan ng personal life mo lang, at nagkait ka doon sa big letter L, life, yung universe, yung paligid, yung kapaligiran, ikaw ang malulugi hanggang ikaw ang mabawian ng buhay. Pero kung ang sariling personal na buhay mo ay handa ka na itulong, isakripisyo, i-contribute doon sa big letter L life, yung paligid, yung kapaligiran, yung nature, ikaw din ang makikinabang, ikaw din ang mabubuhay. Isaiah 13:11, I will punish the world for its evil, the wicked for their sins. I will put an end to the arrogance of the haughty and will humble the pride of the ruthless. Ano na naman yan? Balancing. Self-regulation. Nasa Bible, nasa science. Now, the earth is on automatic, as we have said. With correctly timed life cycles of birth, death, rebirth, planting, uprooting, replanting, killing and healing, building, destruction, and rebuilding. Paulit-ulit lang. Kumisan lang. Yung lifetime natin, minsan hindi naman ganun kahaba yun, napataon ka sa panahon na maraming volcanic eruptions, akala mo, end of the world na. Samantalang lagi naman may panahon ng volcanic eruptions, tapos may panahon naman ng katahimikan ng mga bulkan. May mga panahon na nagyayelo ang kapaligiran, may panahong natutunaw, hindi naman ibig sabihin mag-e-end na ang mundo dahil natunaw yung yelo. Kasi pabalik-balik lang yung mga yelo na yan sa North and South Pole, sa tunaw na buo, natunaw na buo, cycles. Ang mga island, lumulubog, lumulutang uli, lumulubog, lumulutang uli. Huwag mo lang masyadong personalin. Na pag nangyari sa panahon mo, mag-overread ka na, akala mo na end of the world na yan. Ecclesiastes 1:5-7, the sun rises and the sun sets, and hurries back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. Pabalik-balik, paulit-ulit, cycles. Pero kung ikaw halimbawa, isang insekto na ang life cycle mo lamang ay 70 hours, nataon ka sa tag-ulan, hindi umaraw ng buong 70 hours na yon, akala mo ang buong buhay ay puro ulan. Kasi maiksi lang yung nakikita mo dahil sa yung life cycle. At ganoon din tayo mga tao. Ang human history naman, ang recorded history, napakaiksi. Akala natin, alam na natin lahat, pero napakaraming nagganap dito sa planetang ito bago nagsimulang magsulat ng kasaysayan ang mga ninuno natin. So, hindi natin alam yung mga naganap noon, nag-uulit-ulit lamang. Akala natin bago. Sabi sa Ecclesiastes, there is nothing new under the sun. Now, science tells us that matter and energy, meaning creation and recreation, is a continuous repeating cycle. Wood, or matter, burns and produces fire, or energy. Then wood becomes carbon, which is then reabsorbed into the earth, where plants use it as fertilizer to make wood again. Pabalik-balik. Yung kinain mong papaya, mamaya ay papasok sa iyong katawan, magiging bahagi ng iyong katawan, at pag ang katawan mo bumalik sa lupa, yung papaya bumalik din sa lupa. Ma-absorb uli ng mga halaman, magiging prutas na naman, pabalik-balik. Ecclesiastes 3, there is a right time for everything, and everything on earth will happen at the right time. There is a time to be born and a time to die. There's a time to plant and a time to pull up plants. There's a time to kill and to heal. There's a time to destroy and to build. There's a time to cry and a time to laugh. There's a time to be sad and a time to dance with joy. There's a time to hug someone and a time to stop holding so tightly. In other words, there's a time for distancing. There's a time to look for something and a time to consider it lost. There's a time for letting go. There's a time to keep things and a time to throw things away. Ano ang kinalaman nito sa buhay natin? Na ang buhay sa planeta ay may cycles, merong seasons, merong climates. Makiayon lang. Go with the flow. Kung taglamig, edi taglamig. Kung tag-init, edi tag-init. Kung tagputo ka ng mga bulkan, edi get out of the way ng mga lava. Kung panahon ng mga pagkukulang at mga kasalatan, edi magtiis. Kung panahon ng ligaya, magpakaligaya. Dumarating ang time ng lungkot, edi malungkot. Hindi naman natin pwedeng iwasan yung malungkot. Kung minsan gusto natin takasan, dumarating talaga yan. At aalis din yan. Ang mahalaga, survive. Malungkot ka, but not to the point of dying. Lumigaya ka, but not to the point of killing yourself. Sumakay sa panahon. Kasi nakatakda ang lahat. Alamin ang takbo ng panahon. Makiramdam. Ito ba ay panahon ng mga kasakitan? Makiramdam. Mas mag-ingat. Gawin ang lahat ng kayang gawin para sundin ang laws of nature, para malampasan natin ang dumadaan at hindi tayo maging casualty. Sumakay. Huwag sumalungat sa panahon. Panahon ng baha, umalis ka sa dadaanan ng mga tubig. Panahon ng tag-init, di mananatili ka indoors, baka ka ma-dehydrate. Panahon ng taglamig, yun ang panahon para rin to keep yourself warm. At kung darating na ang panahon ng taglamig, maghanda ka na ng mga kailangan mo kasi baka hindi ka makalabas ng bahay. Huwag sumalungat. So that you are able to make the most out of life, no matter what season it is, no matter what the cycle is. Pag wala pa, maghintay o atupagin kung ano ang nandyan. Pag nandyan, nandyan. Pag wala na, wala na. Lahat naman mayroong wakas, pero hindi yan eternal wakas kasi ang lahat ng wakas pupunta uli sa new beginning. Kahit nga tayo ay tinatawag nilang binabawian ng buhay, ang tawag natin ay sumasa kabilang buhay. May new beginning ka na naman sa kabilang buhay. Galing dun sa kabilang mundo, dumating dito ang iyong espiritu, tumira sa isang katawan, isang cycle yon. Then namatay si katawan, naalis yung espiritu, babalik dun sa kabilang buhay, another cycle begins. So, pag meron tayong partner, meron. Pero pag wala na, tanggapin na wala na. Hanggang dito na lamang. At maraming salamat. Kasi hindi naman talaga lahat forever. Ang ibig sabihin ng forever, may cycles. Hindi ka na-freeze sa isang point, sa isang state, sa isang situation. Paikot-ikot, pabalik-balik. So kung saan ka man inaabot, yun na enjoyin mo. Make the most out of it. Minimize pain. Maximize pleasure. Do the most good kung anumang season ang uso sa iyong buhay ngayon, sa buhay ng planeta, sa buhay ng community. Now, there's peace and happiness, and it is in flowing with time, not in going against it. Now, do not always think of end of the world as end of the planet. Think of it as just ends of world systems, of orders. Tulad ng sinabi ni Jesus, the end of time, that the end of the age, yun pala end of the temple age. Sabi niya, mawawasak ang templong yan, walang matitira ni isang bato sa ibabaw ng anuman, at yan ang katapusan ng panahon. Yung pala, panahon ng templo, panahon ng culture of the temple, panahon ng rule of the temple over people's lives. Pero hindi natapos ang mundo, hindi natapos ang buhay, natapos lang ang isang cycle, ang isang season. So think in terms of ends of time cycles, of configurations, and think also of new beginnings. Tandaan, ang lahat ng wakas, nagsesegue, lumilipat sa panibagong simula. Wala talagang wakas kasi eternal ang creation ng Diyos. Paikot-ikot, pabalik-balik. Ecclesiastes 7:14, when times are good, be happy. But when times are bad, consider this. God has made the one as well as the other. Therefore, no one can discover anything about the future. So kung masaya, magsaya. Kung malungkot, magtiis. Lilipas din yan. No situation is permanent, not even sadness, not even poverty. Because everything goes in cycles. Sakay lang sa buhay. Enjoy or endure the moment, but do not argue with it. Kung panahon ng lockdown, di lockdown. Kung panahon ng quarantine, di quarantine. Kung panahon na libre, na kung kumilos, di kumilos. Kailangan nag-a-adjust. Kaya napakahalaga yung tayo ay handa sa anumang darating na cycles of life. Tulad ng woman of Proverbs 31, sabi, she can laugh at the days to come. Kasi sa panahon ng tiwasay, siya ay napaka-productive, marami siyang ginagawa, marami siyang negosyo, nakakapag-impok siya, nakakapagbigay siya sa mga kapuspalad, naayos niya ang kanyang tahanan. Pag dumadating daw ang winter, malamig sa labas, sila'y komportable sa loob kasi napaghandaan. Napakahalaga na meron tayong ginagawang paghahanda kung biglang mabago ang klima, biglang bumagyo, biglang bumaha, biglang pumutok ang bulkan. Siyempre, hindi naman lahat nagkakaroon ng napakaraming opportunity na maghanda. Kaya meron nga inaabutan ng hindi handa. Pero, ganun pa man, kailangan natin mag-adjust. Wala tayong mapapala na magreklamo. Wala tayong mapapala na magalit. Kailangan gawin kung ano ang pwedeng gawin so that we can minimize pain and maximize our pleasures, our happiness, and we can do the most good. Isaiah 45:9. Huwag na daw tayo makipagtalo sa lumikha. Woe to those who quarrel with their maker, those who are nothing but potsherds among the potsherds on the ground. Does the clay say to the potter, what are you making? Does your work say, the potter has no hands? So, nagreklamo daw ba ang palayok doon sa gumagawa ng palayok? Hindi. Hayaan mo yung gumagawa ng palayok ang gumawa ng kung anong gusto niyang korte dahil palayok lang tayo. Psalm 65:9. You care for the land and water it. You enrich it abundantly. The streams of God are filled with water to provide the people with grain. So, you have ordained it. Science tells us that ecological systems or ecosystems have many cycles operating as a part of the system. So, there are cycles within cycles. There are sub-cycles, paikot-ikot, like the water cycle, the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle. All chemical elements occurring in organisms are parts of biogeochemical cycles. In addition to being a part of living organisms, These chemical elements also cycle through non-living factors of ecosystems, such as water, the hydrosphere, land, the lithosphere, or the air, the atmosphere. So, sa buhay natin mga kapatid, anong kinalaman niyan sa mga pinagdaraanan natin ng mga quarantine, mga lockdown, pinagdaraanan natin ng mga panahon ng inconvenience, mga panahon ng paghiwa-hiwalay, panahon ng social distancing? Do not overread. Do not over-spiritualize. Do not be afraid when the earth goes through its preordained cycles. Tulad ng mga virus, periodic talaga ang pagdating niya pag tinignan mo ang kasaysayan. At ang isa kang dapat ipagpasalamat, paunti na ang kanyang damage against human life. Dumadating talaga yung mga panahon ng famine, ng pestilences. Kahit sa mga iba't ibang mga continents, dumarating yung panahon na napakaraming locusts. Dumarating yung panahon na mahahaba ang winter. Panahon. Job 36:27, He draws up the drops of water which distill as rain to the streams. In Job 37:13, He brings the clouds to punish people or to water His earth and show His love. So the same water, pag dumating yan bilang mga daluyong, mga baha, mga tsunami, could look like punishments. But the same water, pagkapandilig, ay nagiging blessing. Pagkapampaligo, pag-ainumin, nagiging blessing. So laging tingnan both sides. The earth and its chemical composition is essentially fixed, according to science. Because this chemical composition is not replenished, all processes that depend on these chemicals must be recycled. These cycles include both the living biosphere and the non-living. Dahil nagpahinga na ang Diyos sa paglikha, hindi na siya lumilikha, ang kanyang nilikha ay on autopilot, self-sustaining, self-administering, self-propagating, therefore, self-recycling. Kung ano man ang abutan natin na nangyayaring recycling sa planeta, huwag tayong mag-overread. Huwag tayong mag-over-sentimentalize. Huwag nating masyadong personalin. Ang gawin natin, gamitin ang God-given knowledge and wisdom to adjust, to adapt, to make the most out of what is available. Don't take the Earth's life cycles personally. Walang masamang panahon. Bakit ba natin sinasabing bad weather? Pagka kumukulog, kumikidlat, nare-recharge ang ating atmosphere with electrons. Pagka gumagalaw ang mga tectonic plates, tuloy gumagalaw ang mga islands, ang mga continents, part yun talaga ng movement ng Earth. Ngayon, kung gumawa ka ng mga bahay sa lugar na merong fault lines at nahulog yung bahay mo, hindi ka kasi dapat doon gumawa. Pagka tinamaan ka ng tsunami sa isang lugar na doon pala pupunta yung daluyong pagka nagkaroon ng tidal wave, dapat hindi ka doon nagtitira. Marami namang tinatawag na disaster, hindi naman dapat maging disaster kung ang mga tao ay gumagawa ng pinakatama na gawin. Sobra kasi tayo nagsisiksikan sa mga lugar na urbanized. Mabilis tuloy kumalat ang sakit. Sobra tayo nagtitirahan sa mga gilid ng ilog. Nire-reclaim ang mga dapat sana ay mga basins na mga baha. Pagka malakas ang ulan sa mga bundok, tinitira ng tao. So pagka bumaba ang tubig mula sa bundok, bumabaha. Marami tuloy napipinsala. Kinakalbo natin ang mga gubat, kaya ang bilis-bilis bumaba ng floodwaters, tuloy tayo ang nagsasuffer. Sobra tayong hindi na nakikisama sa nature. Kung mag-drain tayo ng mga swamp, ganun-ganun na lamang. Kung sumira tayo ng mga ecosystems, ganun-ganun na lang. Tayo rin na nagbabayad. Samantalang napakarami pa namang lugar na pwedeng tirahan, but nagsisiksikan tayo sa mga urban centers because of economics, because of politics, because of many other factors. Pero man-made ang mga yon. Kaya mahalaga, makitungo, makisama sa nature so we minimize pain. Do not take the Earth's life cycles personally na parang pinaparusahan tayo ng Diyos. Bakit tayo paparusahan ng Diyos? Ang bait-bait ng Diyos. Alam naman naisipan ng Diyos, nainis ako sa mga tao, mapabaha nga. Mabigyan nga sila ng maraming sakit, magkahawa-hawa sila. Nagagalit ako sa mga tao, mapalindol nga. So, panakot lagi ng mga relihiyoso para yung mga gusto nila ay masunod mo sa takot mo. Napakarami nilang mga sinasabi tungkol sa Diyos na nakakasira sa puri ng Diyos. Ang lahat ng yan, wala pang tao, wala pang mga syudad, wala pang mga communities, bumabaha na talaga, lumilindol na talaga. Kaya kailangan lang tayong lumagay sa tamang panahon, sa tamang lugar. At huwag natin sabihin, pinaparusahan tayo ng Diyos. Nandyan na ang lahat, bago pa man ang tao. Job 28:25-27. When He established the force of the wind and measured out the waters, when He made the decree for the rain and a path for the thunderstorm, then He looked at wisdom and appraised it. He confirmed it and tested it. Meron talaga mga dadaanan ng bagyo, meron mga Gulf streams sa tubig, sa hangin, meron talagang mga dinadaanan na pag dun sumakay ang eroplano mo sa hangin na yun, mabilis ang biyahe mo, pag sinalungat mo, mabagal ka. Meron lahat yan. Dapat nating alamin ng nilikha ng Diyos at tayo makisama, makiayon, hindi kumontra. Job 38:31-33. Can you bind up chains of the Pleiades or heavenly bodies? Can you loosen Orion's belt? Can you bring forth the constellations in their seasons or lead out the bear with its cubs? Do you know the laws of the heavens? Can you set up God's dominion over the earth? And of course, the answer is no. So, sumakay tayo. Alamin natin at tayo'y makibagay. Dahil wala namang gaanong magagawa ang tao, dapat marunong tayong makisama sa creation. And the laws of physics are the same in all frames of reference. No place is special. Kaya constant yon. That's why science is a very reliable prophet. Now, paano natin pagkakawing-kawingin yung resurrection ni Jesus, yung recycling of life, yung mga nangyayaring season sa ating buhay? Just do your best to get out of harm's way kung meron ng tinatawag na harm. To position yourself in the right paths. Tulad ng sinasabi sa Psalms, para daw kang tree planted by streams of water. Doon ka lumagay sa dadaanan ng tubig, hindi doon sa hindi dadaanan, para lagi kang nadidilig. Psalm 1:3. That person is like a tree planted by streams of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do, prospers. Ganun daw yung nakasakay sa nature, nakasakay sa natural law, nagiging prosperous. Psalm 65:9. You care for the land and water it. You enrich it abundantly. The streams of God are filled with water to provide the people with grain, for so you have ordained it. Yan ang kalooban ng Diyos. Sumabay lang tayo sa takbo ng klima ng mga planeta, ng mga cycles. Jeremiah 7:5-7 is very interesting. If you really change your ways in your actions and deal with each other justly, meaning magkabalance, if you do not oppress the foreigner, the fatherless, or the widow, and do not shed innocent blood in this place, meaning justice equals balance na naman, if you do not follow other gods, meaning teachings, ideologies, and value systems apart from what God had established to your own harm, then I will let you live in this place, in the land I give your ancestors forever and ever. So may universal effect ang bawat local deed. Ito ang napakahalaga nating ma-internalize, mga kapatid. Lahat ng ginagawa natin, nagbubunga. May bunga. So ano ang kahulugan ng lahat ng ito? Let's make sense out of all this. Jesus holds creation in His hands. Jesus holds creation together. Walang nakakaligtaan ng Diyos. Walang nakakalimutan. Alam ng Diyos ang lahat ng nangyayari. Colossians 1:17, referring to Jesus, He is before all things, and in Him all things hold together. Hawak-hawak ng Panginoong Jesus ang structure ng life, ang structure ng creation, hawak niya ang lahat. It is under control. Jesus is the author of life and resurrection. John 11:25 to 26, Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. So ang tunay na naniniwala kay Jesus, mare-recycle, so to speak. Acts 3:15, sabi ni Pedro sa mga Israelites, you killed the author of life, but God raised him from the dead. Jesus was resurrected by God. Now, Jesus is the personification and microcosm of creation. So if Jesus was resurrected by God, then God will resurrect creation. Colossians 1:16, for in Him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rules or authorities. All things have been created through Him and for Him. In John 1:3-4, through Him all things were made. Without Him nothing was made that has been made. In Him was life. So what happened to Jesus will happen to God's children. Like death, then resurrection. Romans 6:5, for if we have been united with Him in a death like His, we will certainly also be united with Him in a resurrection like His. Kung tayo namatay kasama ni Kristo, at yan ay sa pamagitan natin pananalig sa Kanya, tayo ay mabubuhay kasama Niya nung Siya'y binuhay na muli. Romans 8:21, that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. So pati ang creation na nabubulok ay mare-resurrect. Mabibigyan ng bagong buhay dahil si Jesus ay binigyan ng buhay na muli. What happened to Jesus will happen to creation. Meaning death, then resurrection. Colossians 1:15, the Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. So, si Jesus ang firstborn to be resurrected at kasunod siyempre ang creation kasi siya ang microcosm ng creation, siya ang may hawak ng buong creation. In Him, all things hold together. All the time, for all time, the earth will be renewed. Sobrang nakakapagtaka yung basa ng Bible pagkatapos ang itinuturo, end of the world, end of the planet. Samantalang hindi naman yun ang kalooban ng Diyos to end the planet. Ang sabi pa nga ay, your kingdom come. Ibababa pa dito ang kaharian ng Diyos. So bakit sisirain ang planet? Psalm 104:30, when you send your spirit, they are created, and you renew the face of the ground. So the Spirit of God renews the face of the ground, not destroys it. Romans 6:20-22, for the creation was subjected to frustration, not by its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. We know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. So ano daw ang gagawin sa creation? Alam daw natin na ang creation has been subjected to frustration. Ang dami-daming naging mga problema. Pero ito ay bibigyan ng kalayaan mula sa kapagkabulok, palalayain ng Diyos mula sa pagkabulok, ito ay bibigyan ng bagong buhay. As sabi, we know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth. At hinihingi na ng creation ang redemption. Sinasabi ng creation sa Diyos, redeem us, redeem us. Sinasabi niya sa mga anak ng Diyos na na-redeem, redeem us. Kaya nire-redeem natin kahit culture, nire-redeem natin kahit tugtog, nire-redeem natin ang land. We redeem culture, we redeem everything because the whole of creation has been groaning for redemption. Redemption is in Jesus. God resurrected Jesus, and Jesus is the firstborn of all creation. All of creation will be resurrected. Mga tao, mga bagay, ang mga kapaligiran, ang kalikasan. Isaiah 66:22, As the new heavens and the new earth that I will make will endure before me, declares the Lord, so will your name and descendants endure. So you see, ang ibibigay sa atin ng Diyos is a renewed earth, a resurrected earth, and a resurrected heaven. So sabing ganoon, lahat ng yan ay magtatagal at yan ang inyong mamanahin. Isaiah 65:17, see, I will create new heavens and a new earth. The former things will not be remembered, nor will they come to mind. So yung mga nagangyari, yung mga kabulukan, mga kahirapan, yung lahat ng yan ay malilimot pagdating ng panahon when God fully resurrects heavens and earth. There will be a new and renewed heaven, earth, and paradise. God does not and will not destroy creation. Bakit ba gusto natin na mag-destroy yan, mag-end? Genesis 8:21-22. Never again will I curse the ground because of humans, sabi ng Diyos, even though every inclination of the human heart is evil from childhood. And never again will I destroy all living creatures as I have done. As long as the earth endures, sabi ng God, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. Magpapabalik-balik lang ang mga cycles. Magkakaroon ng recycling, paulit-ulit lang, pero walang wawasakin. Everything will be redeemed, everything will be resurrected. Psalm 37:29, the righteous will inherit the land and dwell in it forever. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng forever? Di ibig sabihin nandiyan yung land forever. Ecclesiastes 1:4, generations come and generations go, but the earth remains forever. Creation just goes through cycles of recreation. Do not be afraid. God is in control. Aalis din ang mga pinoproblema natin ngayon. Walang ganyang mga problemang nanatili forever. Dumadaan lang sila. Isaiah 43:5, do not be afraid, for I am with you. Joshua 1:9, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. John 14:27, sabi ni Jesus, peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. At kung sakasakaling dinadalaw tayo ng mga fear, mga anxieties, sabi ng 1 Peter 5:7, cast all your anxiety on Jesus because He cares for you. Mga kapatid, siyempre may mga dumadaang bagyo, may mga dumadaang taglamig, tag-init, taggutom, may mga dumadaang pestilences, may mga dumadaang kumisan, mga famine. Kung may dumadaang bagyo, hangin, baha at iba pa, magpalipas sa kuweba, sa safe place, sa ark of safety. Huwag sumuong. Sila Noah, dahil may baha, nanatili sila doon sa ark. May mga tao na pagka may dumadaang bagyo, nasa loob sila ng mga kuweba. Pag may dumadaang mga digmaan, nandun sila sa mga towers, sa mga fortified cities. Bakit ka susuong? Kailangan kumubli. So kung kailangan may quarantine, edi manahimik ka sa bahay hanggat kaya. I-minimize ang exposure. I-maximize ang safety. Padaanin ang dapat dumaan. 1 Kings 19:11-13. The Lord said, go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by. Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. When Elijah heard it, he pulled his cloak over his face and went out and stood at the mouth of the cave. So nung hindi Diyos ang dumadaan, nagpalipas si Elijah sa loob ng kuweba. Pero nung naramdaman niya na nandun na ang gentle presence of God, doon siya lumabas. I-apply natin to sa ating buhay. Huwag tayong sumuong sa panganib, hanggat kaya natin tayo magkubli, gawin natin ang dapat gawin, kasi ano man ang dumadaang bagyo, ano man ang dumadaang daluyong, lilipas at lilipas din. O kung tayo man ay dumaraan sa dark valley, halimbawa, hindi tayo yung nananahimik sa safe place, tayo yung nagdadaan sa dangerous place. Psalm 23 verse 4, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, O God. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. We are participants in the life cycles of the earth, of the universe, of the heavens. Walang kakaiba. Ang nangyayari nga na nangyari na noon at mangyayari pa paulit-ulit. Read, understand, and obey natural law. Kung kailangan mag-ingat, mag-ingat. Kailangan umiwas, umiwas. Natural law is God Creator's most basic law. So read times and seasons. Makibagay, makiayon. Ecclesiastes 12:7, your body came from the earth, and when you die, it will return to the earth. But your spirit came from God, and when you die, it will return to Him. So, ang ating katawan may recycle, ang ating spirit babalik sa Diyos. At birth, you enter earthly life. So, participate in earthly systems and cycles. Take and give. Take care of creation. Let creation take care of you. In your life, minimize pain. Maximize pleasure. Do the most good. Then return to your Maker. Huwag nating sobrang personalin. Pag may nawala, magpasalamat tayong nahiram natin at kung kinuha na uli ng Diyos, buong puso nating isa uli. Huwag tayong magtampo, huwag tayong magalit. Time and chance happens to all. Merong ingat na ng ingat, nagkakasakit pa rin. Meron namang hindi sobrang maingat, hindi nagkakasakit. Time and chance, sabi ni Solomon, happens to all. Pero habang kaya natin na kontrolin yung outcome ng mga ginagawa natin, huwag nating ipa-time and chance, huwag nating ipa-alat-tsamba, huwag nating ipaswerte-swerte. Tiyakin natin, siguraduhin natin, as much as we can, ang gawin natin yung pinakaalam nating tama, pinakaligtas. And then pray to God na ma-bless niya ang ating mga effort. Huwag nating personalin kung tayo natatamaan ng kidlat, lalo't nandun tayo sa path ng kidlat. Ang gawin natin, pag-aralan ang laws of nature. Dahil yan ay law of God. Do what we can to avoid what could be avoided. Jesus was resurrected by God. Jesus is the firstborn of all creation. All creation will be resurrected by God with Jesus. Installment nga lang ang nangyayari, may mga seasons, hindi bigla-bigla nangyayari, but we should see the big strokes, the brushwork of God. Dapat nating makita yung major plan of God, and that is to give us renewed earth, renewed heaven, to let the kingdom of God come to us here on earth, and God will reign with His people. Love, God will live among His people. Huwag tayong mawala ng pag-asa, huwag tayong sobrang malungkot, matakot. Do what we can, and then accept what God allows to happen. Pag-aralan natin yan. Resurrect your hope, resurrect your strength, resurrect your faith, because Jesus resurrected. God bless us all. Love to you, mga pamangkin. Dito tayo mag-aral ng salita ng Diyos. Dito tayo mag-aral ng mga practical na bagay. Magdalanginan para sa isa't isa. Makinig ng mga mensahe. At dito tayo magsasama-sama spiritually sa ating official Ed Lapiz YouTube channel na ang address ay Sabi ni Kuya Ed. Remember, dito tayo ha. Sabi ni Kuya Ed, ang ating official YouTube channel.
Do not forget to subscribe. Click the subscribe button and ring the bell for notification. Like, comment, and share our official YouTube channel. Visit Ed Lapiz website for daily devotion, audio podcast, latest video message, send your prayer request, subscribe to mailing list and more. Visit edlapiz.com.ph.